Recently, many animals have been killed in order to protect people around them. We need to focus on preventing the killing of as many animals as possible. Unfortunately, some instances require it coming to killing an animal. But first, we need to be sure we consider all options and make sure that we are protecting as many animals as possible. Today, I will address the problems with our reasoning behind killing animals. So let's begin with the major problem with killing of animals. The problem is that we often invade an animal's environment, then something goes wrong, and then we feel obligated to kill that animal. In the most recent case, a 2-year-old boy was drowned in an Orlando lagoon by a Disney World resort. According to the BuzzFeed News reporters, the young boy, Blaine Graves, was playing around the edge of the water while on vacation with his family. He was quickly pulled into the water by an alligator. The police searched for the boy and finally located his body in the water, and it was still intact. A medical examiner determined that the boy died from being drowned. During the search, 4 alligators were removed from the water to be examined, but in order for them to be examined, the animals had to be euthanized first. It was unfortunate that the young boy was drowned in a tragic accident with this alligator, but does that mean it was ethical to kill 4 alligators during the investigation? In this particular instance, the young boy was in an area marked with no swim signs, so the fact that he was still allowed to play in the water was rather irresponsible. In this situation, the accountability needs to be on the family who chose to ignore the signs and still allowed the child to play near the water. This is a perfect example of how we enter areas we know have certain wildlife and knowingly put themselves in danger. In an article written by Jackson Landers, he states, "Indeed, reckless human behavior is often to blame for alligator attacks. About 35% of attacks in Florida result from humans deliberately trying to encounter animals. It is necessary that we stop seeking out trouble with wild animals and learn how to act in nature. But since we know the risk of running into dangerous animals, we need to stop holding the animals responsible if we knowingly cause a problem." There have also been instances where animals have been killed in captivity. The most recent instance occurred in the Cincinnati Zoo. According to CNN reporters, a 4-year-old boy crawled through barriers and fell into a gorilla enclosure. The gorilla, named Harambe, a 17-year-old gorilla, was in the enclosure and grabbed the child by his leg. Zoo officials made the decision to fatally shoot the gorilla in order to ensure the child's safety. This isn't the only time poor zoo enclosures have put animals and humans at risk. In Jacob Brogan's article, he states that a leopard in a Utah zoo slipped through the mesh that separated it from the public, forcing visitors to huddle in a gift shop until it was caught. A black bear cub briefly escaped its handlers while being moved between enclosures at the Columbus Zoo in Ohio. It was eventually sedated and returned. Georgian police killed the tiger that had, in its own turn, killed an animal after escaping its enclosure. Unfortunately, we can't go back and change what happened, and when things happen like this, it usually is the only option to sacrifice the animal's life. But we need to think about ways to prevent this sort of occurrence. There are 2 major factors that could be worked upon to make attending zoos safer for the animals and for people. First, zoo enclosures need to be more secure. Simply adding a thick layer of glass in front or behind the bars would have completely prevented the child from falling into the enclosure. The second thing we need to consider is how well families are watching their children. Everyone who has children has a responsibility to keep them safe. And if you can't handle so many kids at once, it seems obvious to bring more adults or don't go anywhere. There are some rare occasions when one animal is repeatedly attacking humans. When this is the case, the best option is to remove the animal, and some may believe it is best to kill the animal. In certain cases, people believe this is the best option if it is done correctly. One instance is described by Landers in his article. He said, "A single huge crocodile in Burundi had eaten up to 300 people as of 2008. Gustav is presumably still out there in the wild. This crocodile killed a large amount of people, and rather than trying to kill it first, biologists tried to capture it alive, but it was unsuccessful. Unfortunately, in a case like this, it is best to remove one crocodile so that we can save many human lives. But because the animal wasn't caught, killed, or removed, many local citizens took it upon themselves to find the animal and killed it, which meant that they also killed many crocodiles who shouldn't have been killed. We have recently run into issues that costed many animal lives. Unfortunately, some instances may require losing an animal to save a person. but we need to work on preventing these situations. Many people often provoke animals and are seeking to encounter many dangerous animals. And when that's the case, if someone gets hurt, we can't hold the animal responsible. In order to protect ourselves, we need to act responsibly, which in turn protects the animals around us.